Our story begins with Selnia Flameheart and Tomomi Saikyo having polite conversation over breakfast in Hakureiryou Academy, which is all well and good except for the fact that we get a few bizarre flashbacks of things that happen later in the episode. Now remember who this is. Sebek has trouble keeping its narrative coherent even on good days. The out-of-place flash-forwards come true as Akiharu Hino arrives and is immediately confronted by Selnia, who takes him for a delinquent and, well, this happens.
Whoa, hijinks! That's good unoriginality.
Enraged that Hino would dare Copperfield, Selnia chases him around the academy and chaos ensues as Hino meets most of the cast during the chase and, in a weird-ass joke, causes girls to faint just by appearing before them. Just like me! The whole thing ends at sundown when Tomomi, who knew full well that Hino was there, decides to cut her amusement short by saving him from the lynch mob, though as the episode ends, it's pretty clear her fun is just beginning.
これから楽しくなりそう。
And so, what sort of plot can we expect from Ladies vs. Butlers? Well, if you've ever seen shit like Shuffle, Magicano, Green, which if you have, then my deepest condolences for the loss of your brain cells, then you've seen Ladies vs. Butlers. It's quite literally, boy goes to rich school, boy meets cast of zany girls who end up falling for him, boy's life becomes a hectic series of gags and misadventures, girl flash their bosoms at us, elitists rage, retard gush, anti-viewer smacks his head repeatedly against the wall, and somewhere in Japan, Sebek officials make tons of money to fund even more garbage. This being a comedy, what makes up the majority of the humor? Well, I could just refer you to my previous rant, but honestly I'm pretty sure they'd dock my pay if I did. Indeed. Well, more than we already have. I hate you. Well, what can I say? The jokes in Ladies vs. Butlers rely mostly on fan service because, let's face it, this is exactly the kind of genre that does so, and a bunch of physical gags as well as some light wordplay. It's all very routine, you understand, but unlike Hanamaru Kindergarten, this show's jokes actually succeed in making me chuckle a few times per episode, and that, on its own, should tell you how high the jokes rank above your traditional Sebek fare. Oh, I do so love going through the excruciating details of why Sebek fails. It's good for the heart, let me tell you. First off, this anime's plot is so completely generic that everything I predicted would happen happened. There is no attempt at any sort of creative thinking or artistic liberty. It's just textbook from start to finish. This same problem dogs the characters who, barring Tomomi and maybe Daiichi, are all completely archetypical. This is almost what I think they'd put as an example in an anime for dummies book, it's so generic. Also, the fan service can get rather annoying after a while, especially for people who don't like that sort of thing. I myself just roll my eyes whenever those boobs bounce, and even then that's just going through the motions at this point. But I did say this anime was better than the average Sebek fare, and for some good enough reasons. Firstly, the plot may be generic, but if that's what you were looking for, then it works well and serves its purpose. There's a fine line between contrived and classic, after all. The characters, for as cardboard as they are, still have one or two idiosyncrasies that make them more interesting, and even if they didn't, once again you'd like them if you were a fan of the archetype. The humor, though very fan-serviced, still has a surprising amount of passable jokes. Nothing spectacular, but hey, as long as you laughed, the joke did its job. Lastly, well, I mentioned it before, that the cast does start to grow on you if you let it, as does the anime. I hesitate to qualify it as a late blooming, or Sebek finally waking up and getting to work. Well, there you have it, folks. Ladies vs. Butlers, the romantic comedy harem in its most basic, most archetypical form. It's generic and uninspired, and there's quite a bit of things I hate about Sebek in it, but honestly, for what it is, just a zany, sexy screwball comedy romance, it's not that bad, and grows into its quality as time goes on. It's almost like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Over time, what starts as an ugly wriggling thing becomes an adequate enough series, and that in itself is a high praise for Sebek anime. My final verdict for Ladies vs. Butlers is a very two-sided 5 out of 10. I recommend this series to anyone who just wants to leave their brain at the front door and indulge in a classic genre. If you're looking for something more, however, well, there isn't any and you'll have to look elsewhere. Still, I will permit myself a little tip of the hat to Sebek. Keep this up and we might actually find ourselves with a decent series one day. Until next time, I am your cheerful torturer, the Interviewer!